Well, my grandmother is no longer with us. Her house has long since been owned by another. Nevertheless, I can still today enter my grandmother's kitchen whenever I want to. And the way that I can is through my nose. Through my nose. One small sniff, one measly morsel of a taste of certain foods can transport me through time and space, through death itself, and have me once again sitting and salivating at her kitchen table. And the smell and the taste that carries me there like none other, see if you can smell it even right now, is butter melting hot, crispy on the edges, straight from the ear of corn, cast iron shaped pan, buttermilk cornmeal. Somehow, in some way, when the kitchen is filled with that aroma, when I taste that recipe, which is, by the way, in your bowl, it grounds my spirit like nothing else can. It reminds me that even in the chaos and the coldness of this world, that I am not alone. Memories of that kitchen remind me that I am enmeshed in, entangled even, in a web of love and family. That smell and that taste, it lives somewhere within me. And whenever it is triggered by that smell again today, it brings a sense of joy and peace that heals my very soul. It reminds me from where I come. It reminds me of who I am. And that memory is a rudder that guides me to who I aspire to be in the future. That is the power of smell and taste. It is the power of the communion meal. If Jesus and the early church leaders had been neuroscientists, if they had at their disposal the very latest, most cutting-edge scientific research and equipment, still they could not have picked a more powerful way to help us remember the love of God than communion. And that's because within our brains, the olfactory bulb connected to our nose, it sits on the amygdala and hippocampus within the brain. And those two parts of the brain process emotions and they activate memory. Thus, scents and smells, like nothing else, can reconnect us not only to a memory, but revive an experience, an emotional experience long past. Thus, when we come to the communion table and we eat and drink and we smell and taste, we can't help but fulfill Jesus' words to his disciples: as often as you do this, smell this, taste this, remember me. Remember me. Remember, I love you so much that I give my life for you. When you smell and taste this, remember from whom you come and who you now are. Remember, you are not alone, but enmeshed in the family of the faithful, held by the love of God. Jesus institutes communion as a ritual of remembrance just moments before his whole ministry unraveled. Just moments before the disciples' world will crumble into chaos. For after that meal shared with the disciples, Jesus is arrested. By noon the next day, he is dead. The disciples are wanted fugitives. Jesus knows trying times are upon them, and that it will be difficult, if not near impossible, in the coming hours and days to remember. To remember love. To remember Jesus' love for them, to remember and maintain a forgiving heart and a healing focus. And so Jesus gives them a powerful way, scientifically the most powerful way possible to remember. A ritual of smell and taste, to anchor them in the coming storm. A rudder to help them navigate through that storm and continue his ministry, their ministry, a ministry of love and reconciliation that can change the world. He gave them communion. And we need communion as desperately now as the disciples needed it then. For it is hard in this world to maintain a forgiving heart and a healing focus. It feels near impossible these days to persist in a ministry of love and reconciliation in a world that is so bitterly divided. But it is no harder now for us as it was for the disciples then, nor is that task harder than it was for Elijah that we heard in our scripture reading. How could Elijah persist in a ministry of love and reconciliation when Queen Jezebel wants him dead? He can't. So he abandons his ministry. He runs into the desert where, empty of all hope and strength, he sits under a broom tree and hopes to die. But the work of love, the ministry of reconciliation, it's not done. Therefore, an angel interrupts his hopelessness and bakes him bread. Bread. He nourishes him with a loaf of love that renews Elijah's spirit and his strength to go on, to continue his ministry when he feels he can no longer. So what today wearies your soul? What weighs on your heart? What are you running from? Or what are you running towards that requires a rekindling of spiritual strength? What in your life feels like it's crumbling into chaos or makes it difficult for you to hold within you a forgiving heart or maintain a healing focus? Whatever it is, whatever that may be, what you need is what Elijah needed. It's what the disciples needed. What they needed was bread to nourish both body and soul. What they needed and what we need is a powerful way to remember that even in a hard time, we are God's. And that we live suspended in a web of love from God so strong, so vast, we cannot escape it. We can't fall through it. We must only surrender ourselves over to be within it. What we need is communion. This morning, when you come to the communion table, take your time. Meditate on your situation and on what you need. Now, unfortunately, I could not reach into the kitchen of everybody's grandmother here this morning. I tried, but I ran out of time this week. But there are quite an array of breads from almost every culture around the world, because God's presence and God's Spirit lives in every culture, every place, and every person. Maybe this morning the bread you need, the spiritual sustenance you need, the character of Christ you need. To face what it is you must face is a little sweetness. If so, we have some guava-filled pastry right there waiting for you. Or maybe what you need is something a little bit more traditional. Some traditional pita bread, that is there too. Maybe what you need to revive your spirit and spiritual strength to remind you of web of love within which you live is bred from your childhood. There's Cuban bread, French bread, challah bread, and cornbread. Angels await you at this table, and that one back there too, ready to give you hope and strength, just as was given to Elijah, to carry on the ministry of love and reconciliation. And then afterwards, meditate on your way back to your chair as well. Because once revived, after communion, remember that the work and love of reconciliation is not yet complete. We must do our part. So we must in turn be angels for others, that we, like they, in everyone that we meet, may offer bread-like blessings, messages that heal and strengthen hope within them. May our every word and act, like communion itself, be filled with the actual presence of Christ and offer this world new life.